The Left Spin X Bay that we've all been waiting for is finally here with CobaltDragoon. There is a ton of Beyblade news to go over, from a Drasil-inspired Turtle Bay to the Left Spin CobaltDragoon and more. We are eating good as Beyblade fans. So hit that like button, hit subscribe to join the Nook Nation, and now let's move on to our first bit of news, which is the 3-player stadium. Definitely kind of unexpected, but this 3-player stadium is something that Takara Tomy showed off several months ago at like the very beginning of the year, and it was actually delayed. It is BX-32, and Vice Tiger BX-33 is just around the corner, so it was delayed a couple of months, probably because it is huge, and I'm sure the shipping is going to be really expensive. But I'm pretty excited for it, and I'm looking forward to taking it to my local Beyblade tournaments just to kind of have fun. But yeah, that shipping cost is going to be crazy. So now let's move on to the actual Beyblade news, starting with the turtle-inspired bay, which is the prize of Random Booster 4, and it is called Black Shell. But this bay is basically Drasil from its shape to its motif, and it also has the Bakuten Shoot logo kind of baked into the design itself. Kind of like we saw with Cobalt Drake and Vice Tiger. We haven't seen it with Phoenix though, which is interesting. CobaltDragoon looks to be one of the most hype releases of the entire year. And if you want to pre-order it, go and check it out on Mall of Toys. Pre-orders are going to be going up very soon. And if you want to get some other bays like the Black Shell Random Booster or Vice Tiger Tyranno Beat, Mall of Toys has you covered there as well. So go ahead and check them out, link in the description down below, and make sure to use code ilinnuc to get 5% off of your purchase. But this is obviously a defense type, kind of goes along with the Drasil idea. I will say defense types in Beyblade X are kind of the worst bays in the entire lineup. Think of, Night Shield, Night Lance, Shinobi Shadow, so I'm a little worried about the performance. It's also very recoily, it's pretty aggressive in its design. Maybe it can be used as like an attack type. But going over the parts, we have the 460 ratchet, which is a little bit lame. And then for the bits, we have D or dot. Okay, this is going to be kind of similar to Jog Ball from Metal Fights, but this bit freaks me out, okay? I don't know if I have like a phobia over these dots or something, but looking at this bit, it just makes me uncomfortable. It's a little ugly, and I don't really know how competitively viable it's gonna be or anything, but it's definitely an interesting piece to have, I guess. This is a random booster, so there are other bays you can get in this set. Let's talk about the secondary prize. Okay, we have a yellow recolor of Black Shell, so yellow shell. I don't know why Takara Tomy loves their yellow and green recolors for their secondary prizes. They had yellow for Wyvern Gale and Shark Edge, and then a green for Tyranno Beat, and here we have yellow again, and I don't see why. Then we have an orange color Unicorn Sting, and I like the Unicorn Sting blade a lot, and having it re-released in a different color scheme is nice. Next up, we have a purple Viper Tail, which kind of seems like the throwaway bay in this random booster, kind of like the purple Rhino Horn that we got in the last one. It's cool to have, but meh. Next up, we have a green color Wizard Rod, which Wizard Rod is great, don't get me wrong. Super competitive, kind of overpowered part even, so getting it re-released in a random booster is nice, but this green is just ugly, okay? Why? Why not release it in like a purple, or release it in a red or a blue? A green? And the final bay in the random booster is a blue Phoenix Wing. This blade does look pretty nice. I will say, I do wish it was painted. Some people might disagree with that because the paint chips off over time, but having a red painted Phoenix Wing and a blue painted one would just look really nice. But that was Random Booster Volume 4. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I think the last Random Booster with Tyranno Beat was a little bit better in total, but Black Shell just looks pretty awesome. And now we can finally move on to easily the most hype news of the entire year so far, with the first Left Spin X release with CobaltDragoon. I will say, I'm a bit surprised with that name. I was kind of expecting them to keep the Drake part of the name, but they kept Cobalt instead. But I thought Cobalt was just because Cobalt Drake was blue painted. So, okay. And I don't think anybody expected them to name it Dragoon after the very first Beyblade ever, Dragoon. Throughout Beyblade X, we've seen different bays have references to the original generation, like with Black Shell or Vice Tiger or Cobalt Drake. But to name the bay straight up Dragoon is definitely a surprise, but I'm down for it. The design of the blade is really nice as well, with kind of a four-sided square shape. I was a little worried it'd be too round, kind of like Dran Dagger, but I definitely like this shape a lot more. And from what I can see in the picture, it has seemingly 4 bigger metal blades and then 4 smaller ones next to it, creating a total of 8. And I can already tell this bay is definitely going to be a bit on the heavier side as well. Maybe not like 38 grams like Cobalt Drake or Phoenix, but around 36 or 37 maybe. Attack types in this generation are always the heaviest anyways, so I don't see this being surprisingly light, especially when you see this bay from kind of a side view and you can really see just how chunky some of the metal is. The motif design is pretty nice as well, with the dragon or the dragoon kind of popping out sort of and being a little bit more action oriented. I will say I do kind of prefer the Cobalt Drake design a little bit more. That design was just super sharp and kind of elegant in a way that I just really like. But this one is nice as well. I will say the 2 teeth being there, it kind of looks like Dragoon is missing teeth. Obviously, it's supposed to be kind of snake-like, but I can't help but notice or think it looks like he's missing his front teeth. The rest of the bay is pretty sick as well. For the ratchet, we have 260, which is the first time we've seen a 2-sided ratchet release. We are going to be getting a 280 with that Yomiuri Giants themed kind of special Dran Dagger. So people were kind of expecting to see a 260 before that, and we do. We have 260 here. I don't really know how amazing it's going to be, but it does look pretty round. It does look pretty balanced in general, so could be a new competitive part. And then we have the bit, which is C or Cyclone, which is a direct reference to Spiral from Beyblade Burst or Left Flat from Metal Fight. This kind of star design is really cool. I will say it does look pretty thin, which is interesting. I was kind of thinking that the gear ratio would be like Excel or Hexa, but I think it's just a normal one, like flat or ball or something. And you can really see just how small that tip is in general. So it's going to be kind of similar to Rush, maybe. But this bay is just full of references to previous generations and previous Dragon bays, like Longinus, El Drago, Dragoon. I mean, it's in the name. It's also going to be releasing July 13th, 2024, which is almost exactly 25 years after the very first Dragoon and the very first Beyblade. And I'm just going to say it, and I've already mentioned this to a few people, but this releases July 13th, which is 3 days after my 25th birthday. So I guess me and Beyblade are almost birthday buddies. And there's one more thing to mention with this release, and that's the fact that it is obviously a starter. It kind of has to be because it is a left spin type, so it kind of has to come with its own launcher here. And it's going to come with a blue string launcher. But not just any blue, like it's not like a dark blue or blue and red, like kind of the Bay design, but it's more of like a light baby blue, which is the color scheme of the actual Drake or Dragoon design itself. I will say, while I don't really love the color, I definitely wish they would have gone with maybe a white with kind of like a dragon design on it, kind of like the launchers that came with El Drago. The light blue is definitely really unique and it will stand out. The design of the launcher as well is quite a bit different than the rest of the Beyblade X string launchers, so there's not going to be any way you accidentally mix and match or confuse the two. But this is sick. I mean, they definitely could have gone with a cheaper kind of ripcord launcher, but that would have been kind of lame to have, you know, a string launcher for your right spin bays and then a more basic winder launcher for your left spin. So having a string launcher here just makes the value of the package even better. And I'm also kind of hoping that, you know, when Hasbro brings this over, that they do what they did with Soar Phoenix and make it a string launcher set. And just to wrap up the news on CobaltDragoon, first off is the box, which I haven't really talked about, and it is black instead of the typical white. Pretty similar to Hasbro packaging, but I think they made it black as like an inverse because it's left spin. And then there's the price, which is 2,321 yen. So if you look at the end of that, it's 321, like 321, go shoot. So that is going to wrap it up for the news, guys. What did you think? What do you think of this left spin Dragoon and the right spin Drasil inspired black shell? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. But that is going to wrap up this video. If you liked it, hit that like button, hit subscribe to join the Nook Nation, and I will see you in the next one. Have fun and bay away.